Excuse me. My name is Patsy Walker, and I'm a lifelong resident of Amarillo, and my concern is exactly for the Aquatic Center, but I would like to point out a few other things besides the swim team that we see the critical need in Amarillo for an Aquatic Center. And as you know, we had gone through that, and you addressed that with Vicki, and I don't know that everybody needs to know that or does. But I think a lot of people, unless you are one of these groups, maybe doesn't know the critical need for an aquatic center besides swim meets for kids. If you're a senior citizen and you need a place to do water therapy or water exercise, there is no place. If you are not a parent of a young child looking for a place to teach him basic swim skills or ground-proof skills, which the AISD is concerned about, you are not aware of that need. If you are not a triathlete needing a place to train, you don't know of the need. If you're not a lap swimmer who is choosing swimming for their health and fitness program, but they can't afford a membership to a private club or even a lane to swim in if they do have a private membership, you know there's a critical need for a pool. If you are wanting to learn basic scuba, you know there's a critical need for a pool. If you're a fireman, policeman, an EMT needing to learn water recovery skills, you know there's a need for a pool. If you're a high school student and you want to swim on your high school team, you can't because the numbers are very limited because of the number of swim lanes available. All of those, besides the fact that we would like to have kids learning the wonderful lifelong sport and perhaps dream to be the next Michael Phelps, then you know that we need a pool. I would just like to add our endorsement of the hope that an aquatic center could be incorporated into that multi-use facility. There would be a lot of things that could be gained and joined to couple with that, and we would like for you to take that into consideration. Thanks, Karen.
Certainly. Thank you very much.
Steve Hayward.
I'm Steve Hayward. I'm with the Share the Road group here in town. I served on the initial committee to get bike lanes started in Amarillo, and downtown was actually redlined. Traffic engineering refused to allow bike lanes within downtown. I just did a Google search today on revitalization and bike lanes in Texas. These cities popped up: Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Lubbock, Belleville, Arlington, San Antonio. And throughout the rest of the country and world, bike laning downtowns and revitalization go hand in hand. So I was wondering if your organization is going to work with the city and bring bicycles and bikeability and consequently walkability downtown that we don't have now.
Good question. The President of Design Standards, I think there have been some discussion on bikes. I'm let you address that. What we're working with on folks is a pedestrian-friendly activities zone, addressing those activities and that design standards so that you can incorporate multiple means of mobility. And there has been no final determination on any of it. We're starting that process. We're going to build upon the work that's been done, and where it makes sense and when it makes sense, I would assume that it would be incorporated. It is, I'll be honest with you, bikes is not the main focus of the effort, but it's certainly something to be considered.
Just to add to that, Downtown Amarillo is focused on this project, but we're focused on the entire downtown as well. And when I first came here, one of the things that I did bring up was mobility for all, and really more balance for vehicular traffic versus pedestrian and bicycle traffic. Certainly we have to accommodate vehicular traffic. We're a vehicular society, no question about it. But I think we can accommodate all, and we're really fortunate to have, fortunate or unfortunate, to have very wide streets downtown. Unfortunate that it can be difficult for pedestrians. Fortunate in that we can reconfigure those or stripe them or create bulb outs and do various things that allow us to create a better balance. So that's definitely something that we want to look at as we move forward, mobility for all kinds of modes.
Part of it's organic, and it reminded me that when we did Sugarland Town Square, we had bike racks. We set up to be able to do that. We started developing bike lanes in the city, and we did not see as prevalent a usage of it. And so part of it was developed, and then as it grows and it changes, some of the incorporation is you plan to be able to address it as the need arises. And so that's how we've addressed it in the past on our public side.
Hi, my name's Jared Knight. I've officed in downtown for about 10 years. Moved away from downtown for a while, but now I'm back in this building. I have 3 children as well, and in the interest of full disclosure, one of them is on the Emerald High swim team. So I wanted to also offer my support in your investigating fully the opportunity for an aquatic center in Amarillo and in downtown Amarillo. And as you're looking for folks to fund that, I think that you should really take a serious look at what kind of revenue streams could come into Amarillo from that being here. And we are a hub for the whole panhandle, and there's lots of folks that I think would make use of this center.
You know, I'm sensing a trend. Looking at 2 elements there. There's the cost of construction, there's the cost of operation. To let you know, follow up on the communications, we have started that process. We've reached out, looking at the 4 pillars of aquatics, looking at how that relates to the community, what the opportunities are. I would tell you that there was a little-known business by the name of McDonald's that when the wife of the founder passed away, the trust was created that went with the Red Cross to help fund the construction of aquatic centers. And depending on the grant process, they can qualify up for 1/2 of the cost of development and 1/2 the cost of operations. Do not know at this point how that applies and what you have to be able to structure the project to be able to qualify for it. But there are things that are underway to investigate. Here's the study that's been done. How does that compare? What is that? All the different things that you have to go through. It's a detailed process, but I would leave all the supporters with the idea that there are efforts underway to give it a thorough investigation.
Good evening and welcome back to Amarillo. Robert Goodrich. I'm a downtown property owner, and I'm concerned about the prioritizing of work in our downtown. The program that has been presented to our city is hinges on or tied to revitalization, not new construction. So my concern is, will you set a priority on revitalizing what exists as opposed to putting a priority on new construction?
Our commitment to the city is to provide them with options. The city, and through these meetings, will help us determine some of those priorities. There are trade-offs. For example, as we talk about, Mr. Goodrich, your property, the Herring, there may be opportunities to save 10 to 15% in the cost of construction because you have existing structure in steel and facade. There may be, because of its age, certain remediation things that need to take place that impact that. There may be, on the new side, costs there that you wouldn't have because on the rehabilitation you can attract tax credits. Our commitment to the city is to provide them with the options and not say, as a developer, we know best. We're going to provide them with the trade-offs. The Herring is here. Here are the opportunities. Here's how you can accomplish your objectives. Here's how much it costs. Here are the benefits. Those benefits, as you'll recall, what I had up here, they're both tangible and intangible. They're both qualitative and quantitative. Some of those intangible benefits are the historic character of the community and preserving that. It's difficult to value that. That's a value judgment. That's why we're reaching out to you folks. And that's why there are all these public meetings to help get input, so that you can help guide that. Because you need to justify, you need to use that in your judgment as you make the decisions. So we're not making a judgment to go this way or to go that way. We don't have the details yet, but we're going to be looking at it appropriately and making sure that we've been thorough in our examination. And that we can promise you, the ultimate determination will be based on those factors.
Folks, we have gotten to everybody who filled out a speaker's request card, and we still have a few minutes left. Is there anyone else who has a question that they haven't heard answered yet tonight? Yes, sir. And can we give everybody your name?
I'm P.J. Bromley. I work for West Texas A&M. My office is here in the building. I support the downtown revitalization. I like the conversation we're having. I was interested in the bike lanes because I first thought he said bike lanes. Now, if I find the heck's wrong in the bike lanes downtown. My question is about the highway. It seems to me like the one glaring thing is we've got this U.S. highway going through downtown at street level. Is there any way to do something about that, or are there any thoughts to you about it?
We're definitely looking at that. If you have seen the streetscape plans that have been done, they look at Buchanan specifically, which could apply to really any of the major Buchanan, Pierce, Fillmore, Taylor. And really, it's not about the speed of the traffic, because I can tell you from personal experience, you can't go through there more than 35 miles an hour. Or you're going to hit the red light. So it's not the speed of the traffic, which is actually the perception, but rather it's the width of the lanes that you have to cross. And I think there are ways to address that. The use of the bulb outs, which reduce pretty significantly by about 15 feet or so the pedestrian crossing, and maybe even more importantly, bring the pedestrian out in front of the parking lane. And speaking of the parking lane, using that parking lane, having parked cars on Buchanan, which tends to slow traffic and make it a more crossable street. Using pavers in the intersection, the streetscape plan that was done called for a really unique design, and it wasn't determined what that would be, to be at those key intersections like Buchanan and 6th. That really made pedestrians feel that it was their realm as well. And I will tell you, if you go to an event at the Civic Center, you see lots and lots of pedestrians crossing. They park at the Globe News Center parking lot and walk across the street. So they are using it, and they will use it. But I think we need to make it safer. There are ways to do that, and we definitely will need to incorporate that